my viewers, and welcome back to my channel. Now in this video there is a debate on the use of the racial slur or word used to refer to a black person. Who is supposed to say this word? Now I don't understand the obsession of people who are not even black with this word. We all know how this word isn't just a word but has a lot of dark history to it. But despite all of this, some people who don't even understand this feel they should just say it anyway. Now in this video, a black man's social media post sparked controversy as he argued against the notion that non-black people should refrain from singing along when the word appears in songs. Now his stance is that the artist, or the rapper rather, creates music for everyone's enjoyment, regardless of race. So he doesn't see the reason why non-black people should go mute on that part. However, it's essential to note that his perspective represents just one viewpoint among many within the black community. It's only his viewpoint. So join me as we check out different reactions from people on this. I will be right back, and when I do, we talk more about this.
I may get this, but I don't think we should stop singing the song when it's up. The rapper made that song for you to enjoy, whoever is the listener. And the rapper is clearly not offended with whoever's rapping their lyrics. If I was a rapper, I'd probably be a little bit offended if someone's rapping my lyrics and then they had to stop and pause because they can't say the following lyric. Picture this, I'm a rapper, I'm on stage, right? And I'm rapping and that comes up in my song, right? And when my crowd say along the song and don't skip it, what am I supposed to do? Jump in the crowd and whoop everybody? Hear me out. You see where I'm coming from, right? I'm making sense. It's just looking like you see these TikTok videos, they're like they got this look on their face because they gotta wait. No, if they're rapping it, just say it, man. I know people are gonna get mad, but I don't care.
Frieza and Toby Rama have competition now. There's no way you just came out and said that, like, off rip, like, no shame, unapologetically. That's worrying.
Who can't say number one? I mean, duh, this is common sense. Literally use the word to disrespect us. What makes you think we're gonna let you say the word? And I know what you're all thinking. We made the word. Why can't we say it? I don't get you made the word. You made the word to talk down on us, so you don't have the right to use it. Now, I'm not gonna lie. There are people that can get away with saying there's only two reasons why. You either grew up around black people, and they simply just gave you the pass, or you learn how to say it without sounding threatening or disrespectful. Because truth is, you can say it. It's all about how you say it. And by the way, if you share this video, I grant you a free pass. Number two, you're black. Yeah, there's some black people that can't say it, and it's mainly washed people. We all have that one black friend that just doesn't sound right, and every time they say it, it just makes it even worse because they're actually black. And you know who you are. Stop saying before you have to deal with the consequences. Number three, anyone that doesn't live in the US. And yes, that goes for Africans as well. I just feel like it sounds crazy coming from any of y'all mouths. Whether you're British, Japanese, or honestly, if you're whoever actually. I want to know with y'all. If someone
anyone with our skin complexion who uses it is, however, we cannot tell them that because it will end the conversation in its tracks. Our goal is to change hearts and minds, and we cannot do that if the people we're speaking to feel like they need to defend themselves. If we are in the middle of conversation with someone and they start to feel like they are being attacked, we will get nowhere. We have to find a balance between supremacy and advocacy.
I've been waiting what felt like my entire life for someone to say this, because ever since I started listening to rap music, I felt the exact same way, but I was just really hesitant to express my opinions since I don't feel qualified because I'm not black. And if I'm being real, everyone already says it to songs in private. I mean, at least everyone that I know of. So what's the point of not saying it in public when you say it in private? And you would assume that it's the black people who would be the most offended, but no, it's the leftist, non-black people who are immediately up in arms about it when someone accidentally says it to a lip sync. I just think it's funny because who to determine whether it's offensive or not when it's not your culture, it's not your word.
How delusional can you get? For starters, no, not everyone says it in private. Just because the people that you associate yourself with say it in private does not mean that the rest of the civilized world does the same. So not only is that not true, you're somehow trying to bring that up as if it would support your point? How would that support your point? Just because people would potentially be saying it in private, that does not make it okay. The fact that you took the word of this one black dude on TikTok over the words of almost every other black person in America is astounding. His entire page is just straight up conservative propaganda. 90% of this dude's views come from the fact that he complained about The Little Mermaid having a black actress and then hyper-focusing and fear-mongering about the fact that Disney may potentially race swap other Disney princesses to be POC. Not exactly a non-biased representation of the Black American demographic. But let's get back into what you're talking about here. You're saying that you have always felt this way and were just too afraid to say it until you saw this one black dude say, hey, if I were a rapper, I think that everybody should say the word if I wrote it in my song. First off, this dude is not a rapper. Secondly, all the rappers that I can think of have vehemently come out to say, no, do not to my songs if you are not black. Finally, let's talk about your weird characterization that black people don't speak up or care when non-black people use and it's only non-black leftists / liberals that care. Listen, the old hat trick of trying to paint leftists and liberals as blue-haired, angry, incoherent feminists no longer works. That's not gonna fly here. More importantly, black people do speak up for themselves when it comes to talking about whether or not they're okay with being used all the time. You're just not in their circles because you're clearly a conservative. Guess what? Most black Americans are not conservative. There's too much to talk about here, so I'm going to save it for a part 2 because I went and looked at her profile and saw some of the follow-up responses she made, and they are crazy.
People who are not black should not say it ever. I genuinely don't understand this fascination or this obsession that certain non-black people have with saying, like, guys, this isn't our word to claim, and it never will be. This isn't just a word, it has a lot of dark history to it. And just because the black community took it back and made it their own, that does not mean that those implications, those social and historical implications, are not there. And I know so many people who are like, well, my black friend said it was okay for me to use it. Or, oh, it comes out in hip hop, so therefore everybody should be able to use it. Are you dumb? Even if you don't know the full history behind that word, you have to be willing to learn and to be better by not using it. It's really not that hard to not say the word. So if you are making excuses to try and weasel yourself out and say the word, you're a piece of...
It's ironic, isn't it? Bloated wannabe short round, who prides himself on being a virtuous bobo liberal, is sitting there in his video making these weird smug faces, thinking that he's got some moral high ground to stand on, when people from BLM won't even pick him, let alone do anything for him. But he's so desperate for that BLM validation, failing to recognize that the very people the girl is talking about, who in public will never, but in the privacy of his own car, he'll blast that out like it's nobody's business. You're pathetic, dude. Stop with the pick me, because that's all you're giving is pick me. You're so desperate for validation from BLM, it's not even funny. You bring shame to your own ancestors, bro.
Now, I don't care what anybody thinks, but for me, using this word, whether in private or public, is inherently wrong for non-black people. And this extends to its use in songs. This word carries a deeply painful history of oppression, dehumanization, and violence against black people. It has been used as a tool of racial hatred and discrimination, and its wounds still reverberate through generations of black individuals and communities. Now, when non-black people use this word, even if it's in the context of singing along to a song, they are disregarding the weight and significance of that word and the trauma associated with it. While some argue that they are merely repeating lyrics created by black artists, just like this man said in the video, it's essential to recognize that the word's inclusion in songs does not grant universal permission for its use. It does not. The word has been reclaimed by some within the black community as a form of empowerment and solidarity, but this reclamation does not extend to those outside of the black community. So non-black individuals do not bear the historical or cultural burden of the word and thus have no right to co-opt it for their own use. Even if it's in a seemingly innocuous context like singing along to a song. Allowing non-black people to casually use this word even in the context of a song perpetuates a cycle of harm and reinforces the normalization of articism. It diminishes the pain and suffering experienced by black individuals and undermines efforts to combat racial inequality and justice. Respecting the dignity and humanity of others means refraining from using language that perpetuates harm and upholds systems of oppression. So I don't understand and I don't see the reason why non-black people are really obsessed with using this word. Now, let me give you the reasons why I feel this word shouldn't be used by non-black people anywhere, not even in a song. Firstly, this word has a long and deeply entrenched history of being used as a tool of oppression and dehumanization against black people. It has been employed to justify slavery, segregation, and systemic racism, inflicting immeasurable harm on generations of black individuals and communities. Secondly, the word carries significant symbolic weight representing centuries of racial violence and subjugation. When non-black individuals use this word, they are perpetuating power dynamics that have historically privileged palm-colored people at the expense of black people. So it reinforces notions of WS and reinforces the marginalization of black voices and experiences. Thirdly, while some within the black community have attempted to reclaim the word as a form of empowerment or solidarity, this reclamation is specific to black individuals reclaiming a term that has been historically used against them. So non-black people do not share in this historical context and thus do not have the right to use the word, even if it's in the context of singing along to a song. I repeat again. The casual use of this word by non-black individuals, even in the context of a song, can be deeply hurtful and triggering for black individuals and communities. It trivializes the experiences of those who have suffered from racism and contributes to the normalization of racist language and attitudes. Now, allowing non-black people to use this word even in the context of songs contributes to the normalization of racism and perpetuates harmful stereotypes. It sends the message that it's acceptable to use racially derogatory language, which can have far-reaching consequences in perpetuating discrimination and inequality. The use of this word, even when seemingly innocuous or well-intentioned, can evoke painful memories and experiences for black individuals. It serves as a reminder of the systemic racism and oppression that black people continue to face, both historically and in the present day. Hearing the word used casually by non-black people just undermines the sense of safety and belonging in society. There is a fine line between appreciating and appropriating culture. While it's important for people of all backgrounds to engage with and appreciate diverse cultural expressions, there are boundaries that must be respected. So using the word as a non-black person crosses a boundary of appropriation, as it involves co-opting a term with deep cultural and historical significance without fully understanding or respecting its origins and implications. So allowing non-black people to use this word in songs perpetuates unequal power dynamics and reinforces racial hierarchies. It reinforces the idea that certain groups have the right to control and define the narratives and experiences of others, while marginalized groups are relegated to the sidelines. So this can further marginalize black voices and contribute to feelings of alienation and disempowerment. Ultimately, creating a more inclusive and respectful society requires recognizing and valuing the experiences and perspectives of marginalized groups. It involves actively listening to and learning from those who have been historically oppressed and marginalized, and respecting their autonomy and agency in determining how they are represented and addressed. Language holds immense cultural significance, and certain words carry historical and emotional weight that transcends their literal meanings. So this word is deeply rooted in the history of slavery, segregation, and systemic racism in the United States. As such, its usage must be approached with sensitivity and respect for the experiences of those who have been oppressed and marginalized by its historical use as a tool of racial oppression. While the First Amendment protects freedom of speech in the United States, there are limitations and exceptions, particularly when speech is deemed to incite violence, discrimination, or harm. This word, given its history and the harm it can inflict, may fall into this category. There are legal precedents for holding individuals accountable for using racially derogatory language in certain contexts, such as hate speech laws and workplace discrimination policies. In addition to legal considerations, there is a broader social responsibility to consider the impact of our words and actions on others. So using this word, even in the context of singing along to a song, can perpetuate harm and reinforce racial stereotypes and divisions. Therefore, it's important for individuals to reflect on the consequences of their language and behavior, and to strive to create environments that are inclusive, respectful, and supportive of all members of society. We have finally come to the end of the video. These are just my thoughts. I don't know what you guys think about this, but share your own thoughts so that we can hear what you have to say about this video as well. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video.